Hello everyone and welcome to this section. In this section, we're going to apply a Hough transformation to actually obtain the line within an image. Again, we're not going to go directly into detecting lanes. Here we're just going to detect lines within any image. We're going to try very basic images, kind of a calendar, which is have, kind of vertical and horizontal lines. What I'm going to do is I'm going to try to extract these lines out of the image and actually detect it, mark them with a yellow color or blue color or whatever color we want. All right, let's get started. First of all, we're going to run import all our libraries, and then we're going to have an image, we call it horizontal vertical, which is a simple image that has simply a horizontal line and a vertical line. Okay, and so let's take a look. So this is the image that we have. Again, this kind of very simple image has this horizontal line and this vertical line. And my objective is I'm asking OpenCV to actually extract these lines, to give me these two lines. All right, okay. All right, let's show this. So here you guys can see the pixels around 350, give or take. And here we have around 450, okay? All right, the first step is we're gonna convert from colored to gray, and then I'm gonna apply canny edge detection. I hope you guys remember canny edge detection. We have performed that before. The whole idea is in order to perform and actually apply our Hough lines application, it's better that we get a gray image and then get a canny or edge detected image. It's going to make your life way easier. Actually, kind of a recommended practice to perform. All right. So again, if you guys recall, here we convert again from BGR to gray. That will give me the image gray. And then I take the image gray, and then I'm going to apply canny cv2.canny to actually obtain my image canny, which is kind of the canny edge detection on the image. All right. Okay. So here we run it, and then let's show the actual image. So that's it. That's my image. Again, that's image after we obtain the edge detection. Again, it's showing kind of the lines, and that's the first step. All right. Okay, great. Let's exit that part. And then the next step is I'm going to apply cv2.houghlines. Okay, and then I'm going to give it the argument going to be my image canny. And then here I'm going to define the resolution. So here I'm defining the resolution of row parameter. Here I'm defining the resolution of the angle, which is again, here I'm defining pi divided by 180, which is 1 degrees, pretty much. And then here I'm going to define simply the threshold, which is kind of the voting. What's the minimum number of votes that I need to include in order to actually detect a line? All right, let's run it. And that's pretty much it. In lines in here, we're going to return simply all the values, which is rho and theta for all the lines that has been detected. All right, so what do we mean by these numbers? Okay, so first of all, this is simply the rho parameter, and this is my angle, okay? But the angle here is in radians. Again, I don't want you to be confused. Simply put, 1.57 radians is actually 90 degrees, which makes sense, that you have two lines at 90 degrees, which is simply these two vertical lines, right? And then you have another two lines at 0 degrees, which is kind of the two horizontal lines, all right? And that's kind of the rho and theta parameters, the rho and theta values that you obtained. And here it shows you the rho parameters, which is the distance from the origin, okay? So again, 170 around, which is pretty much here, which makes sense, 170 and 170 around. And then here, the distance from the origin is around 220 for these two kind of vertical lines, which is again 220 approximately, okay? Which makes, again, complete sense. All right. Okay, sounds great. Actually looks like it has been working fine. Here, we're gonna do length of lines. We're gonna detect 4 lines. Again, why 4 lines? Because each of these two, because when we perform canny edge detection, it actually showed us kind of, these are kind of 2 lines, and here I have 2 lines as well. All right. Okay, looks great. All right, and then we're gonna do line.shape. That would show me the shape of the lines. And what I'm gonna be doing here, simply put, I'm just gonna be going there, okay, and trying to plot these lines, okay. So what I'm gonna simply create 2 for loops, all right. Every time I'm gonna getting these parameters, which is lines. Again, I'm going to 0 and 0 and 0 and 1, indicating my rho value and theta value. And simply put here, this kind of simple conversion to provide, instead of providing rho and theta, which is I can plot in open in OpenCV, what I could do, and I can use cv2.line, okay, to actually plot the line. But what I need, and I need the coordinates of the starting point and the end point of each line, and that's pretty much what we obtained here. Again, it's a little bit of math. Again, if you're not interested, just skip it. And simply put, we're just conversion from rho and theta back to x1, x2, or x1, y1, my apologies, and x2, y2, okay? That's pretty much all the coordinates here of x1, y1, x2, y2, which is simply the start and end point of the line. So I can just use cv2.line to actually plot my lines. All right, let's run it, and that's pretty much it. Actually, you guys can see here the blue has been indicating that we actually detected already in our 4 lines. If you guys can see in between here, kind of it shows black. Why? Because when we performed the Canny edge detection, it actually removed what the actual value within the lines, right? Just get the edges of the line. And these are the lines that have been detected by the Hough lines, all right? Okay, sounds great. Let's take a look at another image. Instead of this kind of simple image, what I'm gonna do is I'm going to apply it to kind of a calendar, which is another image, all right? So here I have my image, just a very simple calendar. And you guys can see that I have lots of vertical lines, a lot of horizontal lines. Okay, let's actually show the image. Let's run pretty much the exact same thing. So here I'm showing the image again. All right, here I'm getting the Canny. Let's show the Canny. So here you guys can see the Canny edge detection. All right, let's exit this part. Let's apply the Hough lines. Let's get the lines. Obviously here the lines are more than before. But again, pretty much all of them are vertical, 1.57, which makes sense. And zeros, which is horizontal, which makes sense. Okay, go down, down, down. All right, which looks great. So now you guys can see we have been able to detect all the lines, simply put, by just using the Hough lines function within OpenCV. All right, and now we are pretty much ready to combine all the learnings we have done so far to detect lane lines within an image. All right. I hope you guys enjoyed that section, and I can't wait to discuss the next section with you. Thank you, and see you in the next section.